If you want to be happy and start enjoying your life, take a walk with me. One of the first things you can do is stop caring. I know what you're thinking, but stay with me. There's so much that you think about that's often outside of your control. No, this doesn't mean to push your empathy down into the deepest, darkest corners of your soul and become a narcissist. And if that's immediately where your mind went, you might be someone who's more of a black and white thinker. In an attempt to make sense of things, you might find yourself thinking, well, if it's not this, then it has to be that. And you often lead yourself with assumptions. Think about the drones that we're experiencing right now. Type of thinking often leads us down a path where we become the perpetrator of our own pain. You have a strong desire for certainty, and in order to get back to your version of homeostasis, take the quickest route to get there by just telling yourself, well, if it's not this, then it has to be that. Boom, problem solved. At least until that next round of uncertainty hits. You have to recognize that the problem in the person that you're looking at is actually a lot more nuanced than you would like it to be, or that you have the emotional capacity for. So let's go back to what we can control. You can ask yourself, self, what is it that we control in our lives? It may take you a little bit to get here, but you'll come to the realization that, well, I control my thoughts, I control my actions, and how I respond to situations and circumstances in my life. A lot of you are thinking right now, no, actually, I don't control any of that. You're wrong. And to that I say, yeah, I know. That's why I'm making this video. Some of you might not even finish this video before you drop a comment because, well, I made you feel a feeling. You got presented with information, you had a thought, and that thought caused a reaction. Some of you might call that a trigger, but what if we just called it an awareness of you? One of the most amazing and empowering things you can do for yourself is that when you have a thought, acknowledge it, but then take the time to question it. Is this thought true, accurate, and what is the evidence of that? How does it make you feel? What reaction are you having? And where do you feel it? This is where you can stop, zoom out, step back, and assess. Ask yourself, self, is what I'm thinking right now helpful or unhelpful? Will this way of thinking help me keep and maintain relationships or push them away? A tool that you can use that worked really well for me is field notes. You can keep a tiny notebook on you or simply open up your notes app and write down, what's the weather today? What am I feeling? What's going on? What's happening? Who am I talking to? What did they say? Why did they say it that way? And you can start to chase these things down for yourself. Over time, much like a practice of journaling does, you end up gaining access and control over your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. How much time, you might ask? I don't know. I used field notes in the Daily Stoic Journal for 2 years. And there's something really interesting that happens when that practice becomes a habit. You begin to feel more empowered and less overwhelmed. Something else has been happening in the background. You've been creating new conditions in your life. What do I mean by that? When you show up differently, the world is forced to respond. Friends might say something like, you're different, you've changed. Because of those changes, some of those relationships will fall away, but you'll also realize that you've created new connections as well. And when you understand how you operate, you begin to feel more capable, competent, and confident in who you are and who you're becoming. You get to this place where you're no longer outsourcing your emotional well-being to other people or the next big thing on the news. Recognize that you're always in a state of becoming, but what you become is up to you. And if you're still stuck on what you control in your life, think of it more this way. You have influence in your life. For many of you, you have a sphere of influence that's really the 15 feet around you at any given time. It's all the different people that you may come in contact with on any given day. You may spend a lot of time in that space trying to fix or change other people, but you can't. The only way things change in your life is when you decide to make the changes, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Thanks to social media, there's still many more of you that have influence. And it's taken me some time to really fully understand the scope at which we have influence, that I can create a video, a podcast episode, or a 21-day self-love challenge that ends up building a community in the process. And inside of that container is where a lot of change starts to happen. It's only because I created a container and I make space for that to happen. Together, we created new conditions. So ask yourself, what conditions are you creating in your own life? What space have you created for certain things to exist in your sphere of influence?